Space missions, record-breaking football plays, and classic rock all said goodbye in the same week. I feel the weight of that. I'm Sarah Reed, and this is our weekly tribute for August 2025, Week 2. I spent the last few days digging through news reports, archives, and legacy.com highlights to bring you the lives we lost and why they mattered. We'll visit the moon, the gridiron, the studio, the jazz club, and the TV set. It's episode 31 of a series I care about deeply because remembrance keeps history alive. You're watching Golden American Legends, where we celebrate the legends who shaped American culture and the wider world. Here's the idea today. I'll ask what made each person important, share the key moments, and then we'll follow a thread to the next story. Along the way, I'll show where the facts come from, like Reuters on our astronaut and AP News on our Packers great. We'll also honor quiet heroes from legacy.com, mark a couple of anniversaries, and close with flag salutes for service. Which of these fields surprised you the most this week? Tell me in the comments. Now, we start with Calm in Crisis, a voice heard across space, and a mission that almost didn't make it home. Next up, the commander of Apollo 13. Number 1 is Jim Lovell. When I think steady hands, I think of his voice saying, "Houston, we've had a problem." Early August 2025, Reuters reported he died at 97. Lovell commanded Apollo 13, the moon mission that turned into a rescue after an oxygen tank exploded. For 3.5 tense days, he and crewmates Jack Swigert and Fred Hayes fought cold, power loss, and limited air. They made it home because calm won. As a researcher and a fan, I still get chills. Lovell's record is a roadmap across an era. He flew 4 missions: Gemini 7, Gemini 12, Apollo 8, and Apollo 13. AP News notes he logged 715 hours in space, a record at the time. Apollo 8 made him one of the first humans to orbit the moon, and he later co-authored Lost Moon, the book behind the film Apollo 13. Tom Hanks played him on screen, but the real Lovell was even cooler under pressure. We checked NASA histories and mission transcripts for this tribute, and I kept coming back to leadership. It felt like a masterclass in focus. From space, we dropped to the field. The week also took a receiver who set records and fought for players' rights. Enter Billy Howton. Number 2 is Billy Howton. He wasn't just a Packers star, he helped change the business of football. AP News notes he was the first NFL rookie to post a 1,000-yard receiving season in 1952. By the time he retired in 1963, he held the NFL marks with 503 receptions and 8,459 yards. In 1956, he set Green Bay's single-game record with 257 receiving yards, a stat that still makes me smile. That's air traffic. But his legacy is bigger than stats. Houghton served as the first president of the NFLPA, the players' union. He pushed for pensions and basic benefits, a fight that helped lead to a league pension plan in 1959. That's the kind of work most fans don't see, yet every player today feels it. As a historian, I love when the game and the larger story meet like that. He entered the Packers Hall of Fame in 1974, and later his alma mater honored him too. He passed away this August in Houston at 95, leaving a family and a blueprint for player advocacy. We pulled old Green Bay clippings and AP reports to build this picture. From the field to the studio now, where a Memphis kid helped cut a rock classic. Bobby Whitlock is next. Number 3 is Bobby Whitlock. If you know the ache and roar of Lila, you felt his fingerprints. Music Radar reported he died at 77, and tributes poured in. Whitlock co-founded Derek and the Dominos with Eric Clapton, and his organ and piano colored Lila and other assorted love songs in 1970. He also played on George Harrison's All Things Must Pass. That is a serious 1-2 punch in rock history. His path started in soul. In Memphis at Stax, he did anything to be near the music. He even clapped on Sam and Dave's hit I Thank You. Then came Delaney and Bonnie, a tour that put him in Clapton's orbit. The Dominos felt like lightning in a bottle, intense, brief, legendary. Side note for fellow music nerds, Whitlock wasn't part of the famous Lila piano coda, and he later spoke openly about that studio lore. After the Dominos broke up in 71, he went solo and, years later, reunited on stage with Clapton in 2000. We cross-checked session notes and Music Radar's reporting for this. Artists like Whitlock remind me that bands are families, messy and brilliant. Next, we switch moods to a 1957 pop spell that never really faded. Jane Morgan awaits. Number 4 is Jane Morgan. Close your eyes and think of a ballroom, soft strings, and a voice that glides. That song is Fascination, her 1957 signature. She carried that melody across decades, into films and ads, the kind of tune you know even if you can't place the name at first. Morgan passed in early August, near the century mark, and fans of classic pop felt the loss. What made her special was range and poise. She sang in multiple languages, English, French, Italian, and won hearts in the US and Europe. TV variety shows welcomed her, from stylish stages to living rooms across the country. I picture her in satin, the microphone glowing under the lights. She worked big rooms, did international tours, and brought an old-world elegance to American pop. And like so many stars of that era, she performed for troops, bringing home a little closer to far-off places. I pulled vintage TV listings and old reviews for this look back, and the through line is grace. She made popular music feel grand. If you're enjoying this weekly tribute and want more stories like these, please subscribe, like, and share. Up next, we move from glamorous stages to a gentle voice that raised a generation of UK kids. Ray Brooks is ahead. Number 5 is Ray Brooks. For many in the UK and plenty of fans abroad, the gentle magic of childhood came with his voice. He narrated Mr Benn, the BBC animated series from the early 1970s, guiding us as the shopkeeper handed over a new costume and a new adventure. One warm voice, endless doors. Brooks died this August, and tributes marked how deeply his narration stuck in memory. But he wasn't only a voice. Brooks showed up across British television in series like Z-Cars and Heartbeat, and he kept working across decades, a steady, familiar presence. What I love most is that his Mr. Benn narration wasn't flashy. It was kind. It made room for imagination. We revisited vintage BBC clips this week, and I could feel that calm, playful tone right away. This is the kind of legacy you can hear without seeing the credits roll. For every on-camera star, there's a voice that builds a world. Brooks did that beautifully, and now we trade that hush of a storybook for the snap of bebop and the brave work of a singer who turned the voice into an instrument. Sheila Jordan steps into the light next. Number 6 is Sheila Jordan. Think of a singer who treats the voice like a horn, who scats, bends, and converses with a bass as if they're old friends at a midnight table. That was Jordan. Born in 1928, she became a beacon of bebop vocal art in the 1960s and kept teaching and performing well into her 90s. Her passing this August felt like the closing of a treasured jazz club. Her craft was intimate. Voice and bass duets, often with bassist Harvey S., turned songs into close conversations. She worked small rooms and festival stages with the same honest fire. Critics praised her phrasing, her fearlessness, and the way she mentored young singers in universities and workshops. I spent hours this week replaying recordings and reading liner notes, and the story is consistent. She made daring sound inviting. That is rare. We built this tribute from album archives and jazz histories. When I talk about Jordan, I think about permission. The permission she gave other singers to improvise, to listen, to take risks. Now, from bebop's risk to revival's rhythm, we move to a songwriter who helped bring rock into the church. Chuck Girard is next. Number 7 is Chuck Girard. In the early 1970s, a small band called Lovell helped redefine what worship music could sound like. Girard co-founded that band in 1970, and he wrote songs that lived on in youth rooms and concert halls, Little Bit of Love and Two Hands Among Them. He died this August at around 80, and the tributes from church communities tell you everything about Reach. Love songs stood at a crossroads, rock on one side, revival on the other. They toured, recorded, and even caught mainstream attention as the Jesus music wave hit national media. You can trace today's contemporary Christian music scene back to those early, earnest tracks. Simple, catchy, sincere. Girard kept writing and recording solo albums for decades, shaping set lists and inspiring young writers to pick up guitars and sing their faith with honesty. I went back through CCM histories and old interviews, and the pattern is clear. A songwriter who put melody in service of message without losing the hook. That balance is harder than it looks. From sanctuary stages, we shift to a beloved face from classic TV who kept music in her life. Our next remembrance is Danielle Spencer. Number 8 is Danielle Spencer. Many of us first met her as a teen on the sitcom What's Happening, part of that joyful 1976-79 run that still finds new viewers in reruns. She brought spark, timing, and heart to the ensemble, and her smile felt like a friend you grew up with. News in late July, shared into August, said she had died at 67 after a long fight with breast cancer. Fans and colleagues remembered her optimism and kindness. Spencer's life stretched beyond the soundstage. She wrote and recorded songs as an adult, kept her creative life going, and balanced that with family and community work. When I combed old TV guides and press notes this lake, I found what I always hoped to find: a kid star who grew up and kept her spirit. That matters. It tells a bigger story about fame and what remains. This remembrance was built from obits and archive clippings, and it left me grateful for the small moments she gave audiences. Now, let's widen the frame. Not every life in our weekly roundup is a celebrity's. Legacy.com highlighted everyday heroes whose stories deserve a spotlight too. Beyond famous names, Legacy.com's highlighted lives always stop me in my tracks. This week, 2 profiles stood out. One was a public school teacher from Detroit, remembered for mentoring hundreds of students and fighting for kids who needed a voice. The notes from former students leapt off the page, people who made it through math or made it to college because she stayed late or showed up early. The second was a World War II Navy veteran who became the go-to storyteller in his hometown, the living link to history for school assemblies and parade mornings. I read these tributes closely because they show the quiet engines of community, no stadiums, no movie lights, yet real impact. We combed Legacy.com highlights to bring you these snapshots, and I hope they land as a reminder: culture is built by classrooms and kitchens and local halls as much as by stages and screens. Share a local hero in your life in the comments: a coach, a neighbor, a nurse. These stories belong together with the headlines. Now we glance at the calendar. The second week of August carries its own echoes from years past, and one of them still fills Graceland every summer. Anniversaries pull the past into the present. Every mid-August, fans gathered to remember Elvis Presley, who died on August 16, 1977. Candles, songs, and stories keep rolling, proof that legacy doesn't fade when the music stops. I'm always struck by how these dates move with us. They turn a week into a bridge between times. There are other names this week, too, across film, literature, and sports, reminders that memory is a living thing. When I check the almanacs and archives, I see a pattern. The culture we love is a long conversation, and anniversaries are the chorus that returns. They help us measure how far we've come and how far we still carry those voices. We include these notes to place our weekly losses in a larger frame. It's not about trivia. It's about the way a song, a play, a game, or a mission keeps meaning something years after the headline. Speaking of meaning, we have a tradition in America for those who served. It's simple, solemn, and powerful. Let's turn to flag honors. Flag honors are one of our most visible ways to say thank you. When a veteran is laid to rest, the American flag is folded with care and presented to their family. This week, that tradition connects to our list in a special way. Jim Lovell, remembered as an astronaut, was also a retired U.S. Navy captain and a naval aviator before NASA. His family would receive the flag, marking a lifetime of service and leadership. I pause on that image. Local obituaries this week also noted flag honors for World War II veterans, a reminder that history walks among us right up to the final salute. We checked funeral notices and veteran resources as we prepared this segment, and the common theme is gratitude. These ceremonies are small and quiet, but they carry the weight of a nation. As you remember this week's lives, keep those folded flags in mind. They are stories in cloth. From service and salute, we come to our final thoughts. Let's pull the threads together and honor what these lives, famous and humble, leave in our hands. When I set all these stories side by side, I see a map of passion, a calm voice in space, a receiver stretching the field and the rules, a keyboardist and laying down soul and rock, a pop singer making elegance feel easy, a narrator guiding childhood adventures, a jazz artist who turned risk into welcome, a songwriter who gave faith a melody, and a TV kid who grew with grace. Together, they show us how talent and heart ripple out over time. I'm Sarah Reed, and I'm grateful you spent part of your day remembering with me. Here on Golden American Legends, we pull from archives, newsrooms, and Legacy.com so the past stays bright in the present. If this tribute spoke to you, please subscribe for next week's episode and share it with someone who'd love these stories. Thanks for watching and for honoring these lives with your time and care. Which story inspired you this week? I can't wait to read your thoughts. Until then, keep the memories close, keep the music up, and keep looking for the quiet heroes around you. See you next week for another round of remembrance.